Hey everyone, okay, so today's video is slightly different from the normal ones that I tend to do, obviously, which are on makeup. But this video is slightly different. Now, my sexuality is not something I tend to discuss very often on my channels, mainly because I'm a makeup artist, so my channels are based around makeup. Same if I was a mechanic, they would be based around cars or that sort of thing. But it's interesting because on my Facebook page, lots of people ask questions, and there's nothing wrong with that. I absolutely have no problem with it at all. It's human nature to ask questions. And recently, a lot of questions were asked with regards to advice such as, or just a general story about being gay, and some questions that that people have. So in this video, I'm going to address those and give you my perspective as a gay man. I'm not sure, I think I probably knew from a very young age, but when I say knew, I knew that I was different, if that makes sense. I can't quite pinpoint anything, but I knew I was different, and I didn't think I was wrong. I knew I was different, that's all. And I don't think it's until you are sort of into your teens and you're starting to develop a sexuality that you then kind of realize that you're different from everyone else, so to speak. And I had a girlfriend in school, but what that really was that we would hold hands. It was nothing else. And I never fostered it into becoming anything else either, because I knew what I was, and I was, like 11 years old. So it never blossomed into anything anyway. But I never wanted, after that, I never actively sought out a girlfriend because I knew what I was, and I thought that it would be incredibly unfair to her, to any girl, because if I knew I was gay, so by pretending that I was something else, I would be risking hurting her feelings and making her feel perhaps, not the best way that I could make somebody feel. So I decided against it, and I was quite happy with my decisions. I am what I am, and I can't help that, and I'm not ashamed of it. But I think from a relatively small age, but it's not until your sexuality starts to develop in your teenage years where I think everything comes together. I don't think being gay is a choice. I know for a fact it's not a choice, at least for me. It's just not a choice. I think when people say, that being gay is a choice, it's like if I said to you, when did you choose to be straight? It's an odd question. I believe that we are all born the way we are, and we can't help whom we are. And these things in us make us all very unique and very different. And I think it's very sad that sometimes we get punished for these things by society or by people just being cruel or unpleasant, when these things that make us different perhaps should be celebrated. Perhaps your son or your friend is a little bit more sensitive, is a little bit more feminine. Why does that have to be a bad thing? Maybe if we nurture that, something really, really wonderful could come from all of these things. But being gay is absolutely not a choice. It is the way we are and the way we're born, and everything that makes us up is exactly, I think, as it should be. I think that it's yes and no is the answer. Yes, if you are coming from a genuine place of love and the person that you think may be gay would be open to having that conversation. But again, it's one of these things, like at the time when I was sort of like 14, 15, I wouldn't have liked to have had that conversation myself, because I was still developing, and I wasn't able at sort of 14 or 15 years old to have an adult conversation about it. So I wouldn't have liked that. I think if you know that they're willing and they're open and they're wanting somebody to talk to, it's a wonderful idea, providing that there are no prejudices and anything else that could upset somebody, because it's a very trying time. Teenage years in general are a very trying time, and I think that, you know, it's a very touchy subject that should be handled with care. The answer is yes, in an ideal world, but we don't live in an ideal world. And you hear it a lot, particularly from gay people, you should, you know, who are like, you should come out to your parents, you should come out to your family, you should come out to your friends. And I disagree with that. I think that you should respect your surroundings. If you're a young adult, for example, and your family are not comfortable with homosexuality, or they don't understand it, or they have prejudices against it, and that could put you in harm's way, then I absolutely think it's a good idea to not come out. I think you should respect your surroundings and be aware of them. I think putting yourself in a position where you could feel threatened or be removed from the house or anything absolutely awful like that, I think it would be nice if that weren't the case, but if it is the case, I think you should remain silent until you are secure and can be looked after and cared for. I would love to say that we will eventually live in a society where it won't be a problem. Maybe it will happen eventually. It's happening now, but there are always cases, and I think each person should look into their surroundings and see what's happening before they embark on something that they might not be able to take back, and they shouldn't have to take back, but that could cause them serious repercussions and possibly put them into a very unhappy or jeopardize the situation or living space that they're in. My coming out story it's a very benign one. I'd left school and I was going to college, and I was just myself, and I had a diary. First mistake as a young person, don't keep a diary because your parents will read it. And my mum read it. She's very naughty. She's very lovely, my mum, but she did read it, and the conversation arose, and that was how I told her. She cried, but not because she was ashamed, but she just cried, and I think that's a normal reaction, and that was the end of it. And that was it. I've been openly gay to her from 16 years old up until now, which is 36. So we talk, we discuss things, and she is a huge support of my life. She doesn't walk around waving a rainbow flag. If somebody were to ask her if I was gay, she would say yes, but she doesn't shout it from the rooftops, and that's exactly how I am. I don't run around screaming that I'm gay, but if somebody were to ask me, I would tell them, but there are so much more interesting things for me to talk about to them than I am gay. There is other things for me in my life going on that I could talk to you about. Being gay is such a small fraction of my life. It's like that much. Everything else is about work and about my friends and about my job and about my life and about the things I like. And none of those things involve being gay. It's just a small part of who somebody is. And that's my thoughts on it. But my coming out story was, you know, don't keep a diary because your parents are nosy and they will read it. No, I've never had a bad reaction with regards to it. But again, it's not the first thing that I am screaming while I'm running down the street in pink. It's just not. So I don't know whether I'm very lucky or I'm not sure. But the people I've told, there was never a bad reaction. Sometimes there was, I didn't know, or sometimes there was, well, I knew. But otherwise, no. I mean, when I was sort of 16, I was working down a farm because I'm from Somerset, and I told, you know, these really, really burly hay baling men that I was gay, and they were like, yeah, whatever. And remember that this as well, I mean, I'm not old or anything, but this is back in, you know, when I was 16, it's 20 years ago. So that's like 1994, something like that. Is it 94? Yeah, I'm getting old. And they were like, well, okay, whatever. And that was it. There was never this, there was never any conflict, and I never experienced any of that. I know that many people do, but since this is asking me, I never experienced any of it, and I haven't to this day, which is a wonderful thing. General advice really is to respect your surroundings, as I said, and to be honest and true to yourself. I think that it is unwise to live a lie. I have never lived a lie. I have always been who I am, and I think that's the best way to be. Be who you are. I really, you know, I know firsthand the ramifications of what can happen when, you know, somebody marries, you know, a gay man were to marry a woman, and the problems and pain that that can cause. I've seen it firsthand. It's not nice. And it's devastating. Nobody should ever be made to feel that they're not the most beautiful, wonderful person on earth. And obviously, if you're not sexually attracted to somebody, no matter what you do, they're never going to feel that. And I think that it's sad. Be who you are, but respect your surroundings until you are comfortable and secure. And, you know, that's my general advice. I think that the society we live in is a wonderful one, and we've come leaps and bounds, and I think we will continue to do that. Despite some of the horror stories we see on the news, I think we will continue to move forward. Be who you are, but be nice. My mum, who is lovely, as I said to me when I was very young, you can be anything you want in the whole world, but just be nice. And I think that that is the best advice I've ever got. You can do what you want and be who you are, but just be nice. And I think that that is how I will sum up the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.